The Play Action podcast is fueled by Picasso's Pizza, where every night is pizza night.
Trey White suffers a devastating Achilles injury. We talk about what it means to the Bills defense.
The Bills offense has been rolling lately. We'll take a look at what they've been doing to make that happen and how much of that is sustainable.
The Bills travel to London to face the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have an elite quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. We'll break down the matchup. The Play Action podcast starts now.
The Bills got the news they were afraid of on Monday that Tre'Davious White did tear his Achilles and he is out for the season. Now, this is a big loss, both for the defense, for Trey personally, who had worked back a lot. Mark, let's talk about Tre'Davious first. Just what were you seeing out of him a few games into this season?
I think that he looked like the old Tre'Davious. I thought he looked sensational. That interception on the goal line against Washington was a great playmaker's ball hawking play. So this is a huge loss. I mean, if you wanted to name the players they least can afford to lose due to injury, obviously Josh Allen is number one. Stephon Diggs, Deion Dawkins, Matt Milano, Trey White. I'll put Diggs 2, and the other 3, take your pick. So I think he's the top 5 guys you would least want to lose.
Yeah, brutal just from an emotional standpoint, too, for this team who had seen him work back through so much. You could see just on the field how emotional everyone was. And Sean McDermott said earlier this week that he had seen, kind of to your point, Mark, that Trey was rounding into form. He had worked back from that ACL injury from 2021, and that made the timing of this injury all the more brutal. It is also, of course, a loss to the defense. Coach Eric Washington was saying how you don't replace Tre'Davious White. They are confident in the cornerbacks they still have. However, Trey is who he is for a reason as far as his playmaking abilities. So now they move forward. Christian Benford is day-to-day with a shoulder injury as we record this, but we'll find out some more soon. And then Kaiir Elam has been inactive through the start of the season. Dane Jackson's come in a few times this year, has looked strong doing so. So there's experience from the last time that Tre'Davious White was out with an injury, but that's not necessarily, the Bills aren't totally looking at that as a silver lining because it means they're without Trey again.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's obvious it's going to be, if they're healthy, but it's Benford and Dane Jackson. Dane has been ahead of Kaiir. So I think they should work Kaiir, give Kaiir some reps. He's too talented to just leave dying on the vine here, so to speak, from a gardening perspective. He needs some action. They need to push him in. I want to see him play more. Whether, obviously, they like Dane better. That's all there is to it. Now, without Trey, they are going to be fine. Fine. They showed it last year. They won in Kansas City 24-20. They beat a playoff team in Baltimore without Trey 23-20. They can win without Trey. But can they win the Super Bowl without Trey? Fine. Will they be fine in the playoffs without Trey? Will they be fine? They weren't fine in the 2021 season playoffs in Kansas City without Trey. Can they be fine in the playoffs against teams with elite receiving? Kansas City, Miami, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, to name 4 off the top of my head. We won't know that until the playoffs. The last point, one reason to think they might be better off than in the past without Trey is the offense could be better and the pass rush could be better than ever with 3 elite pass rushers, so to speak, in Von Miller when he comes back, Leonard Floyd, and Greg Rousseau.
To that point, Von Miller is expected to practice this week. It's unclear still if he'll play against the Jaguars. I know with Tre'Davious the other year, they took it slow of when exactly he was back on the active roster. So that's an option again. But timing wise, they should be getting Von Miller back sometime soon. And that's a boost to this defense for sure, even though the pass rush has looked strong without him.
I mean, the pass rush, the defensive line has been the best it's ever been in the McDermott era so far, even without Von Miller. So that is impressive. And let's just, I want to take a side street here. Washington, they made Washington look like terrible. Washington last Sunday puts up 31 points and 26 first downs on the Eagles, a good defense. So that was a pretty impressive performance by the Bills defense. Bills offense is coming off of an impressive 48-point performance against the Miami Dolphins. Not much to quibble about in that showing by Josh Allen and company. Katherine, how sustainable do you think is this the offense we're going to see the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I know a 4-game sample size isn't giant, but we're almost a quarter through the season now of what we've seen from this Bills offense. And I think there's a lot of takeaways of just how they have tweaked some things, but, Josh Allen is back to looking like the Josh Allen we knew he could be. That week 1 performance well behind him now. So I think putting on a showing like that, especially against a division rival, against a team that he's done very well against in the past, was a big day for Josh, who, I mean, has connected so nicely with guys throughout the season, is again balancing spreading the ball around, but looking to Stephon Diggs, who makes plays. That long touchdown by Diggs in particular was such a fun play to watch, I thought. So I think this Bills offense is sustainable, to your question, Mark. How about you?
Yeah, the Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott and Ken Dorsey have to be saying to themselves, this is exactly the way we laid out the blueprint in the offseason. They wanted to diversify the offense, make it harder to defend, give Josh more better answers beyond Diggs, hurt teams with the running game if they were going to sit back, and give Josh a dependable, reliable possession passing game. And really, even against the Jets, the possession passing game was good. Just it was derailed by the turnovers. I mean, Josh is completing 72.7% of his passes, 3rd in the NFL, career best. It's pretty impressive. And if you're if you're a defensive coordinator, it is a pick your poison. What are you going to take away? Ken Dorsey is pushing all the right buttons right now.
Yeah, there were times throughout that win Sunday where they just made it look easy over the Dolphins. And a lot of that is very, very calculated, of course. But I think hearing from Ken Dorsey just kind of how he's been tweaking things more and more. Mark, I know you chart some of that. It's early again, don't want to give away too much of your writing, but what are some things you've seen in just what Dorsey has done this year?
Yeah, I mean, again, the diversity of the 12 personnel package. I mean, Josh is completing 78% of his passes with 2 tight ends on the field. Now, like we've talked all offseason, the 12 with Dalton Kincaid is really 11 and a half personnel. But, I think fans can sit back and say, well, how is Kincaid doing? Okay. But he has 16 catches, and that's on pace for 60, which would be incredible for a rookie tight end. And the other thing is, it's what it is allowing everyone else to do, and they're running the ball out of 12 personnel. So again, Ken Dorsey is looking down on his call sheet, and he's just looking at a lot of really good options all the time. And he's mixing it up well. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, they started their first snap of the season in 12 personnel, and I think that was foreshadowing of just how much they were going to up the usage, which of course is something we talked about all off season. So to see it not only coming to fruition but doing well on the field, it's exactly what they wanted. The Bills will now face the Jacksonville Jaguars, but in London. The Jaguars have already been there for a week. They just beat the Falcons. And so Sean McDermott was talking about how it's a team that's already handled all the travel, getting over there, all the logistics, and now they're just waiting for the Bills. Mark, when the Bills get over there, what are they going to find in this Jacksonville team?
A good young team. Made the playoffs last year, have an elite talent at quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. They have a good offense. So this is an offensive club that, in their eyes, has the tools to go toe-to-toe with the powerhouses in the AFC. Interesting team. Interesting season so far. 2-2, opened with a win over Indy. Played Kansas City kind of tough, 17-9. Pretty impressive. Lost to Houston, 37-17, and then beat Atlanta. I think the Houston game a little bit deceiving, really. They had a missed field goal, blocked field goal, dropped a wide open touchdown pass in the end zone, interception. So it was a bad L, but it was a lot of self-inflicted wounds in that game.
Yeah, they have as a whole, when you look at some of, their specific problems to that game, overall, the offense, it is the better part of this team, but they've had some points where they've been struggling. They've struggled on third down. They've struggled in the red zone. So those are some things the Bills can capitalize on for this game in particular. But I think the receiving core here also stands out. Mark, you mentioned Trevor Lawrence already some, but just what have you seen from him connecting with these receivers?
Yeah, I mean, Calvin Ridley is back after sitting out last year, suspended for 2022. He is a legit elite number one wide receiver. They didn't have that last year. And really, Doug Peterson did a great job of piecing together the offense without a true number one. Now they have it. Christian Kirk is kind of a vertical intermediate slot guy, dangerous. He's there, has 24 catches already. The third wideout is former Bills Zay Jones. He's been hurt the last 2 weeks. But they get their star left tackle back this week. Cam Robinson was on suspension for the first 4 weeks. He's back. He's expected to play. They have Travis Etienne, a speed running back. This is a good offense. This is a good offense. The Bills aren't totally shutting. This isn't going to be a Washington game. The Bills aren't totally shutting this team down.
No, and this offense has also influenced the Bills a little bit. It was fun this offseason hearing how Christian Kirk had a role in connecting Josh Allen and Trent Sherfield early on when Trent was joining the Bills. The two guys are good friends from Arizona. And so as soon as Trent was even considering Buffalo, Christian was like, here's Josh's number, call him now. So a little fun friendship rivalry across the field, but also part of why this Bills offense looks the way it does now. Switching over to the defense, what stands out to you there, Mark?
The question for the defense entering the season and still is the pass rush. They have an elite defensive edge rusher in Josh Allen, who was the 7th overall pick in 2019. He already has 6 sacks this season. The Bills are absolutely going to have help for him. Where he's going to play, that's something to watch. He has played mostly the right defensive end this year, but last year he was 60-40 on the left side. So will they want him against Spencer Brown? It'll be interesting to see who they try to pair him against. The other edge rusher is number 1 overall pick in 2022, Trayvon Walker. He had, as expected, he was kind of a project. You can't be a project as the number 1 overall, but raw. And so we'll see. They need him to emerge this year. He's got 2 sacks so far. Their defensive backfield is not highly touted, but has been playing well so far. And their best player back there is cornerback Tyson Campbell, a top talent.
Now, last time these two teams played, Josh Allen did get the better of Josh Allen. So we'll see what happens between this meeting. We'll have all your coverage leading up to it from London as well, on buffalonews.com and wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to subscribe and keep listening throughout the week.
Treat your team to the most flavorful pizza on game day at Picasso's Pizza. 4 great Western New York locations: Williamsville, West Seneca, Lancaster, and Blaisdell. Picasso's. We are Buffalo's Pizza since 1980. Order online today at picassospizza.net.